Article 3 establishes the second branch of government, which is the executive branch. We establish a position of a county executive to be elected at large for a 4-year term. This position, we establish the eligibility requirements, how to fill the position if there was a vacancy, and we also establish the powers and responsibilities of this position. This position is basically the person who runs the day-to-day business or the daily business of the county. If you compare him to a corporation, he would be the president of the corporation, if you will. Someone who oversees everything going on within the county. We also establish the power of executive veto. And we establish the salary of this person to be, on January 1, 2011, we'll talk about the transition shortly, that salary is the same as the existing presiding commissioner. All future salaries are established by the county council. Currently the salaries are established by the county commission, and we put that power back to the county council as basically as it is now. We also in this article, we authorize the creation of director administration position. This is something that we, again, didn't want to try to guess when it was going to be needed, or if it was going to be needed. You'll note that a lot of city governments have went to having a professional administrator who administers the different departments and works within the budgets and helps manage, if you will, the employees and the day-to-day operations of the city. It is possible down the road that Franklin County will grow to the point where it will need a director of administration, somebody that takes care of that administrative duties. So we allowed for that position to be created if and when it's deemed to be necessary. You'll note that I say that a lot, if and when, throughout this presentation, because none of this is saying they have to do it, but we're saying if they want to, they can. And again, that comes back to if the voters say we need this, they can influence their council people to make this decision or put this bill or ordinance into action. Article 4 talks about the different offices and departments. You'll note if you get a chance to read the document, I encourage you to do so. The document itself is 54 pages in length, which is, some people say, very long. 17 pages of it describes the county offices. And the county offices, I can tell you in a couple minutes, any changes than what they are currently now. So as far as the document itself, you can take 17 pages off of it to begin with, and that gets it down to a more manageable reading. The assessor itself remains as it has been. The auditor remains as it has been. Circuit clerk remains as it has been. Collector and county clerk and county counselor all remain as it has been. We assume that the county counselor at some point will need to be a full-time position. We did not want to say when, because we didn't want to leave the county without representation. We have a county counselor now who's been doing it for 18 years. He obviously knows the business of the county. We did not want that to change overnight. The county engineer and the medical examiner are appointed by the county executive. When it says appointed by the county executive, they're appointed, as they are now, they're appointed now by the county commission. They're appointed subject to approval by the county council. So we can't just appoint anybody, it has to be approved by the county council. The prosecuting attorney and the public administrator remain elected at large as they are now. The recorder of deeds remains as it is now. The sheriff remains elected, however, we made the qualifications a little bit more restrictive. The reason we did that is to close a couple of loopholes. One of the things we did is we wanted to, there's a loophole now that says if you are there's a law that says if you're a convicted felon, you cannot run for county sheriff. What it doesn't identify is that if your conviction has been removed because you served out your probation and it's removed from your record, you can still run for county sheriff. And that's considered an SIS, or suspended imposition of sentence. So if you commit a felony, you get sentenced to probation, and you serve your probation without getting in any more trouble, you can still be our county sheriff. We wanted to close that loophole because of an incident that happened in outstate Missouri where a candidate had been convicted of a felony, had an suspended imposition of sentence, ran for sheriff and won because no one knew he was a convicted felon. When he got into office, he committed several more felonies and created quite a mess for the county. So we wanted to close that loophole that really needs to be closed in state law. Also, we are requiring the sheriff to carry a first class Class A law enforcement license. That is what's required of all police officers in Franklin County, so we felt the sheriff should have the same qualifications. The treasurer remains as it has been, and all other county offices and departments remain as it has been. Article 5 talks about boards and commissions. The county council will have the power to create or abolish boards and commissions as it deems necessary other than those required by applicable law. It's exactly what we're doing now. Boards and our county council, our county commission can do this now, has been doing it, and does it as it's necessary. The boards and commission members are appointed by the county executive, subject to approval by the county council. Again, our current county commission decides who they want to appoint, and then they vote them in. That's the way it works now. All existing boards and commissions will continue as they are now unless otherwise governed. Excuse me. Article 6 talks about the county's finances. Our fiscal year remains the same, January 1st through December 31st. Each year, the budget will be prepared by the county executive and submitted to the county council by November 1st for the ensuing fiscal year. So they have to have it submitted to the county council prior to the November general election, basically, so that they can begin working on that budget for the ensuing fiscal year. The county council can. There will be a required public hearing on the budget. The budget is to be approved by the county council, and the county executive does have line item veto power. The county executive will also prepare a 5-year capital program and strategic improvement plan. It basically talks about our capital improvement projects and how we're going to fund them, the 5-year plan. There will be an external audit to be conducted yearly within 6 months of the end of each fiscal year. This is one I read in the paper the other day. If we lose our auditor, we're going to have to pay for an outside audit. We're already doing it. We've been doing it for years. We have an outside audit. We're just requiring it to maintain or stay that way. Article 7, personnel management. Currently, we had a subcommittee work on personnel management for the county. When we started looking at it, we looked at what was happening now. We have a pretty good personnel management policy in place. We didn't find anything that really needed to be worked on or improved. We didn't have any complaints within our personnel management policy. So we decided to keep it as it is now. Again, it's something that we can change as a community or as a council. We can change down the road if we see it to be necessary. One of the things that we wanted to make sure was clarified, and again, this is a result of something that happened in another county. We wanted to make sure that the Sheriff's Office employees remain employed as governed by Missouri Statute 590, and they are under the sole authority of the sheriff. The reason that sheriff's employees are separate from other county employees is because they're held to a different standard, if you will. It's not a better standard or higher standard necessarily, but it's a different standard, and I'll give you an example. If a sheriff deputy commits a crime on Friday night, Friday or Saturday morning, the sheriff's going to call a special meeting and that person's going to be terminated. If a county employee from a different division that is not a sheriff's deputy commits that same crime, and it doesn't affect their job necessarily, it doesn't affect the county, it's probably something that's going to go by the wayside and not affect their job or employment in any way. However, a sheriff's employee is held to a different standard. We're held to state guidelines through the Police Officer Standards and Training Commission and through Ethics Commission. The Missouri Statute 590 is the Missouri law governing sheriff's employees. This law was based off of the current Sheriff Tolke's employee policy manual. That's what they wrote the law based off of. It's working for across the state, so why change it? And I'll tell you that this is something that another county that brought charter government in 15 years ago didn't put in their charter, and it allowed the sheriff's employees to go into the personnel management system, and then you had sheriff's deputies committing crimes. The sheriff couldn't fire them when he wanted to, and it caused quite a mess.